TSPN, streaming on the World Wide Web, and now on demand at TSPNTV.com. Hi everyone, and welcome back to TSPN, and today I have Supervisor Richard Forster, and we're going to be going over the agenda set for tomorrow. It's an interesting agenda. We've got the last item is pretty cool. What do we want to get to at the beginning here, Richard? The first item?
The first up on the agenda is the Challenge Awards. So Matt Cate, the Executive Director of the California State Association of Counties, will be in to present a Challenge Award to Amador County. And these are awards for programs that are kind of thinking outside the box, people making good use of county resources around the state.
Okay.
There were 250 Challenge Award entries this year, and 4 population categories. That just means they break it up into different categories based on your population of your county.
Okay.
It was the highest number of entries since 2008. By the way, I was one of the judges for this, but I judged different population categories. Now, because as you know, I was the first vice president of the California State Association of Counties, so I judged other categories, nothing to do with Amador County.
Okay.
And now I'm the president as of this last week, president of the State Association.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. So it'll be nice to have Matt Cate in to talk about this, present the award. This is honoring our Mental Health Services Act Human Certificate Scholarship Program. And it's working with our community college program to help people get their certificates so they can move on with their lives and do good things.
Okay.
So it's really, and you know, I didn't even know this was submitted from our mental health department, because the notices go out from CSAC to ask counties, okay, submit, but they go all throughout the counties. And Amador County presented this without my knowledge, so I'm happy to see that we're getting rewarded for the good work of our people in our departments.
Okay. Kudos to the mental health. Yeah,
this next one I have to ask some questions. Appointment of a board member of the Ione Memorial District. Now, I knew they had 2 candidates for this. I was told that the Memorial District Board was going to select one of those candidates, so I'm not quite sure why it's on our agenda, so I have to do some more work on that today.
So the hot potato to you?
Well, I read it over the weekend. I was gone last week at the CSAC conference, but I read it over the week, and I know one of these gentlemen, but the way this usually works is the districts involved make the appointments. Their seated directors make the appointments. Whether they're throwing that authority over to us, I don't think that's the right thing to do. I'm not sure if that is what is happening exactly, but we'll find out.
Okay, all right.
So should be a pretty simple item. The next request should be a very simple item too. This comes from our Community Development Director, Aaron Brusatori, and it's asking for relief of the normal fees to build a house for building, planning, environmental health, and this is for the house that was lost in Amador County. I think we lost 2 houses. This is for one of them to relieve the owner, and this is the house on Electra Road, of the fees so that they can rebuild. So it's nice that they're moving ahead quickly.
About how much are those fees, just to remind everyone or give an idea of how much the fees are?
Altogether, the big fees are the plan review is $900, building permit is $1,850, and then the other high fee is the debris removal plan, which is $768. But altogether, you're looking at a total of about $2,000, pretty close to $4,000 in fees.
Okay.
So it looks like somewhere between $3,800 and $4,000. So I think it's the right thing to do. I'm not sure how Calaveras is going to handle this with the enormity of the house numbers that they lost.
Okay. Okay, so we're going on to the Bureau of Land Management, the community forest.
Yeah, I have no background.
Is that a new term?
I have no background information on this. It comes from our chairman, Brian Ronetto. It'd be nice to have some background information so we know ahead of time what's going to hit us, but talking about the Motherlode Field Office Director Bill Hay regarding the development of a Bureau of Land Management community forest. That's all I know, Tom. it's frustrating when we get an item like this where we have no backup.
So this is basically you're going to have a presentation to what this means. Is that?
I'm guessing it's going to be a PowerPoint presentation, but this is all I see in front of me.
Okay.
And I had other activities this morning to do at the county, so I haven't asked that question yet, but it'd be nice to have some backup information.
Okay, all right. And then number 9, the Amador Council of Tourism, a discussion, possible action. Why don't you tell us about that, Richard?
This should be an interesting discussion. Maureen Funk from the Council of Tourism is asking that we establish a tourism marketing district. They've done a lot of research on this. They've had some very competent people come in and speak about this and advise them on how to get the targeted marketing campaign done for those overnight stays in Amador County. So what they're going to do here is request a loan from Amador County of $27,000 to go ahead and try and get this passed. The problem is if it doesn't pass, then what do? You have $27,000 loaned out there. Where does Amador Council of Tourism repay that from?
Okay.
Maureen Funk is talking about repaying that from the first installment of the tourism or the TOT tax out there.
Okay, I'm curious, is this for just the county, so it excludes the cities? They'll have to weigh in on this as well?
Yeah, this would just include the county as far as I'm concerned, because this involves, in her request, just to the county board, which would be the unincorporated areas.
And so what was that fee, or first of all, what is the district that you will be establishing? Is that just, would that just be the whole county? Is that it, excluding the cities?
Well, right now, I don't think the TOT includes, or overnight stays include, like camping facilities, like plazas and places like that. So I think you're just looking at the unincorporated areas of the county that we'd be looking at including in this tourism marketing study. I think the cities would have to be included too. Now I could be dead wrong on this, and I've been to one of the meetings, so my memory may not be 100% correct, but maybe this is the whole county, and the tourism marketing district actually includes the whole county. But then again, we don't have control over those establishments within the domain of the cities.
Right, and it would seem to me that most of the hotels and that are in the cities.
Well, as in
jurisdictions,
as in joint powers authorities, though, like the Amador County Transportation Commission, possibly Maureen will have to make a presentation to us and to every city to get them to buy in to this too. Okay,
well, that'll be an interesting discussion.
The last thing up is the FAA jet fuel revenue ruling requirement and compliance with a December 8th action plan. So,
what was that?
This is pretty complicated.
Okay.
The Federal Aviation Administration has come out with a ruling that an additional sales tax or use tax since 1987 applies to the local public safety fund. That's one pot of money, the local revenue fund, the general fund, and Measure M. So what this is basically saying is that in the notice that came out, it said that regarding a ruling in 2014 that requires every state and local government to redirect certain sales tax revenues derived from sales of aviation fuels to airports for capital and operating costs. Well, what they're doing is they're coming out with an interpretation saying it goes back even further than that. But they're saying they're going to relieve us, I believe the way it's stated in my reading, that they're going to relieve us of that obligation of going back past 2014. But this could potentially impact all of those funds that I just talked about, and the way you would have to redirect that sales tax from the aviation fuels. And it would primarily be at our airport, at Westover Field. Some of it may apply to Eagles Nest Airport down at Carbondale.
Okay.
But it would affect all of those, a percentage of those fees that, for local public safety fund, is 0.5%. For Measure M is 0.5%. So it's going to affect a percentage of those fees that we have been collecting from aviation fuels that go back in our
Okay,
community
so that's
fund.
for all aviation fuels, not just jet.
All aviation fuel
aircraft.
sold in the county.
Okay.
Now, the problem is, this is coming from the FAA. The county may disagree with that. The Department of Finance at the state level looks like they may not agree with that. So we have a little bit of discussion, and this is a law, though, that came out in 2014, a ruling in 2014. California State Association of Counties is advising us that we probably should comply with this until they vet the whole thing out, because if we don't start complying, we could find ourselves at liability for a lot more money than just what we owe right now.
Will that be a lot of work for the county department here in the county?
I think they'd have to go back a little ways, but you know, we're not talking about LAX, we're talking about Westover Field.
Okay.
So I'm sure there's a pretty defined pot of money that gets paid probably pretty close to every year the same amount at Westover Field for fuel sales.
Okay, so even though this says here FAA jet fuel revenue, it's really for all avgas, huh? All
Well,
aviation?
it's for the sales of aviation fuels.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Okay, we have 30 seconds before we go to break. We have a couple more items. Why don't we tell other people that when there was something new that happened with the Newman Reed project?
Yeah,
we'll be discussing that when we come back. I'm just going to set the table a little bit for that.
I'd like to talk about that when we come back, and maybe even talk about Ken Berry and losing like his 25th lawsuit on that's cost taxpayers of Amador County an enormous amount of money.
Okay, we'll be right back after this.